I was standing on my porch that morning, coffee in hand, barely awake, the kind of quiet you only get out here, when all hell broke loose. You ever have one of those moments when the world just tips sideways, and you realize, yeah, today's the day something wild happens? Well, let me tell you, seeing a caravan rolling up my dirt road, sheriff's SUV, flashing lights, county officials, and dead center, a woman in a sun hat strutting like she owned the county, wasn't how I planned to start my Tuesday. That woman, Karen, you could hear her before you saw her, voice like a weed whacker chewing through gravel. She pointed right at me and yelled, "You're being evicted. Pack your things. This land belongs to the HOA now." She actually said it, with her whole chest, right in front of the sheriff, the moving crew, a couple of men in suits, the whole circus. Now, I know what you're thinking, evicted? On my own ranch. But here's the kicker. Nobody out there knew who I really was or the mess Karen was stumbling into. You know what I mean? She wanted a show, and oh, she got one. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let me back up a sec. Ranch life's simple. Mornings out here smell like fresh hay and damp earth. Evenings you hear nothing but crickets and sometimes the wind whistling through the pines. I kept a few horses, grew my own food, rented out the guest house to folks passing through, and tried to mind my business. That's how my grandfather taught me. Always lead with kindness. He left me this land, said, "Respect is the only thing that grows if you plant it deep." And it worked until Karen showed up. See, Karen had moved into a new subdivision down the road. She ran their HOA, and let me tell you, she took that job like a general takes command. The first time she came up my drive, didn't even knock, just barged through and started barking about painting my barn red for uniformity. "Ma'am, this isn't your HOA," I told her, but she didn't care. Said if I didn't repaint, there'd be consequences. I thought it was a joke, wish I'd been right. Pretty soon, the letters started coming. Notices about unauthorized livestock. On a ranch, mind you. Then came fines, first $100, then $300, then $1,000. All on HOA letterhead, all signed by Karen. I tossed them in the trash, figured she'd get bored. But folks like her, they never do. She'd show up, clipboard in hand, snapping pictures, yelling about my fence and the eyesore I was making. Said I was lowering property values. Said I was going to be forced out if I didn't comply. I kept calm, tried to reason with her, told her, again and again, my land was never part of her HOA, not by an inch. She'd narrow her eyes, purse her lips, and drive off, wheels spitting dust. Now, I'm patient, but everyone's got a breaking point. It wasn't just me, either. Neighbors told me their own stories, getting fined for their garden flowers, told their kids couldn't play ball in their own driveway. Karen was running a reign of terror. It built up, slow as a storm brewing on the horizon. I didn't know how bad it'd get. Then, one morning, a big notice nailed right to my front gate. Final notice of eviction. 72 hours to vacate or the HOA would seize my land. I'd seen enough, but I still tried to play it calm. That's when the real circus rolled in. Karen, the sheriff, county guys, a moving crew, all of them right at my gate, right where you could see every neighbor craning their necks, waiting for the show. You could feel the tension, like lightning about to hit. The sheriff walked up, folder in hand, looking more nervous than I'd ever seen him. "We've received complaints, documentation, fines," he said, reading the script Karen had written for him. "They've petitioned for immediate seizure." The moving guys perked up, ready to haul off everything I owned. Karen, arms crossed, grinning like a cat who just caught a bird, declared, "You are trespassing on our land, and the sheriff is here to remove you today." Now, I don't scare easy, but I'm not gonna lie, my heart was beating out of my chest. But I kept my voice low. "Sheriff, you've known me 15 years. You ever seen me break the law?" He shook his head. "Then you know this isn't right." Karen barked, "This land is under my authority," and you could see the sheriff was caught. Papers looked official, but something in him knew it was wrong. "Sir, I'll have to ask you to comply. At least until we can sort this out," he said. Karen clapped her hands. "Start packing. Empty the barn first." My horses kicked up dust. The moving truck rolled closer. My home never felt less like mine. But here's what nobody understood. Karen was digging her own grave. Every word, every order, every paper she handed out was another nail in her own coffin. I let her keep going, because sometimes you have to let a fool run headlong into the wall. So I raised my hand. Stop. The sheriff paused. Karen spun toward me, her face red and wild. You don't give orders here, she snapped. But somehow, my voice cut through the chaos. I stepped off the porch, walked straight to the gate. You've made a mistake. For the first time, her confidence slipped. And that's when it happened. A crack from the barn, my big chestnut gelding kicking open the stall and charging right up to my side. People scattered. Karen shrieked. The sheriff jumped back. The horse stood beside me, proud and fierce, and I swear, the whole ranch seemed to rise up with us. Karen pointed, shrieking, wild, dangerous animals. This is why the HOA voted to remove him. But the crowd wasn't looking at her anymore. My horse nudged me, steady as a rock, and I said, easy boy. The sheriff tried to regain control, but Karen was losing it, demanding I be arrested, waving her clipboard like a weapon. The neighbors looked at her with something new, doubt. That was the first crack in her armor. I stepped closer. Official doesn't mean lawful. Lawful doesn't mean right. You know that. Karen shoved forward, desperate. If you don't act, sheriff, I'll have your badge removed. He didn't like being threatened. She stormed for my gate, but the gelding reared up, hooves slicing the air, and she stumbled back, landing in the dirt. The crowd gasped, and the balance shifted. She wasn't done. People like that never are. But now, everyone saw her for what she was. She stormed off, promising revenge. The sheriff closed his folder. I'll need to verify these documents. You do that, I said, and watched the circus drive off. But Karen came back swinging, filed with the county, tried to annex my land into her HOA. Even had county friends try to push it through. One of my neighbors, Earl, warned me. She's not stopping until your ranch is gone. And when the official letter came, sealed and stamped, telling me my ranch had been annexed, that was it. Something in me broke, then hardened. That's when Karen rolled up again, this time with the whole HOA board, 2 county officials, and, get this, a local news crew. Cameras rolling, neighbors crowding around, kids peeking out from behind parents, everyone waiting to see who'd win. Karen spread her arms, the camera zoomed in, and she announced to the world, today we enforce the law. Today this eyesore is taken down once and for all. But the real storm wasn't outside, it was inside me. My grandfather's words echoed in my head. Don't raise your fists. Raise the truth. I stepped out with the gelding at my side. The sheriff read the eviction notice on camera. Karen demanded I be removed. The crowd looked at me, then at her. I said quietly, neighbors, friends, you know me. I've lived here my whole life. Never broken the law, never harmed a soul. But this woman, she built her throne on fear. Karen lost it, screaming, he's the criminal. She waved a fat stack of papers at the cameras. Proof. The county signed. The board voted. She demanded the sheriff arrest me. That's when I reached in my jacket, pulled out the badge. Not a sheriff's star. Not a county seal. The insignia of the National HOA Council. Higher than any HOA. The law that governs the self-proclaimed laws. The sheriff took it, eyes wide. The reporter's jaw dropped. You're the authority over every HOA in the country? She asked, mic trembling. That's right, I said, loud and clear. Every rule, every bylaw, every fine, flows to me. For years I've governed quietly, never had to pull rank. But Karen, you forced my hand. The crowd erupted. Karen screamed, he's lying. It's a trick. But the sheriff shook his head. I've seen this badge before. It's real. County officials stammered apologies, realizing they'd nearly been played. The sheriff flipped through Karen's evidence. Seals were crooked, signatures mismatched, even the date was wrong. These documents are forged, he said, loud enough for the news camera to catch every word. That was it. The neighbors, one by one, started shouting how she'd find them for daisies, for kids riding bikes, for things nobody should care about. You bullied us. You lied. You stole from us. The crowd closed in. Karen stumbled, and when she lunged for me, the gelding stepped between us, reared up, and drove her back, straight into the dirt, her white blouse ruined, her hair wild. The cameras caught it all. The sheriff stepped forward, cuffs in hand. Karen Matthews, you are under arrest for forgery, fraud, and harassment. The crowd cheered, the board scattered. The county guys hung their heads. Karen screamed, but it was over. The reporter turned to me, eyes wide. What happens now? I looked at my neighbors, tired, worn, but alive with hope. Now, we remember what a community is supposed to be. Not fines, not threats, but kindness, respect, empathy. We stand by each other, not over each other. That's what I'm here to protect. Not power. People. The cheers were deafening. For the first time in a long time, I felt the land breathe easy. As the sun set and the news crew packed up, I sat on my porch, the stars wide above, the gelding calm by my side. I thought about my grandfather, about patience and truth, and about storms, how they pass, how they clean the air, how they show you what really matters. Karen's gone, the ranch is safe, and the neighbors are free. But here's the thing, every town's got its Karen. Every community faces its storms. And what matters isn't the power you have, it's how you use it. I chose kindness and truth, and yeah, that made all the difference. So tell me, where are you watching from? What would you have done? Drop your thoughts below, because out here, we settle things together. That's how it should be.